The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining today's webinar. It's a pleasure to have you join us today. I'm Robert Jakowski, Managing Partner at On Demand Advisors, and today we're going to talk about how to increase customer revenue contribution by at least 25% or more. It's an exciting topic when you think about expanding customer revenue, the upsell, cross-sell strategies that you have, and what's going to work today in today's environment. As many of you have joined me for other webinars that we've had, you know that On Demand Advisors is a revenue acceleration firm. We've worked with hundreds of B2B companies and leaders to actually help them provide predictable and innovative ways to accelerate revenue growth, and achieve their goals. Some companies have grown by 50% year over year, some 100% year over year. So we're excited to have you join us today. As with all of our webinars that we do at On Demand Advisors, we want them to be interactive. We're going to start off with some polls today. Please post your questions. If we don't get through all the questions today, and typically there are quite a few, we will ensure that I get back to you one-on-one and answer any questions that you have. Now, when you think about revenue growth can come from many different areas. It could come through new customer acquisition. And so we'll be talking about new customer acquisition and how do you put in that engine to actually put that in place. Today, we're going to talk about customer upsell, cross-sell, and expansion. And how do you actually do that and continue to really reap the benefit of increasing wallet share with each of your customers that you have today, while you also improve customer satisfaction, reduce churn, and achieve customer ROI. Another way that you can increase revenue, obviously, is with partners and sell-through partners. As many of you may know, I was the CEO at Intact, and Intact was a software as a service company. We scaled the company, very successful, and it was acquired by the Sage Group for $850 million. What was interesting about working at Sage, though, is that half of our revenue came through the partner channel. And so that's something we'll be talking about in our revenue growth series going forward. And then finally, there is always the new solution, a new service that you're going to be launching in 2024, 2025, and so forth. And one of the most important things is to ensure that you're getting that new solution adopted by your customers and so forth. So anyway, it's wonderful to have you here today. And what we'd like to do is start off with a poll. So as with all the polls that we have in today's webinar, I'm going to share with you the results. So please go ahead and participate. We look forward to having you give us your opinion. So when you think about customer success, if there's a gap that you have today, what would that gap be? Is it that you want to get higher into the organization in your customer accounts than you are today? Is it that you're trying to improve customer satisfaction and reduce churn? Or is it that you're trying to drive greater revenue contribution through your customers? Another gap that many clients talk about is offering more customer-specific events or interactions. And then finally, there are some of you that perhaps you don't have a gap today, and you're here because you want to understand the best practices on how to extend that life of the customer, the value of the customer, and satisfaction of the customer. So go ahead and, if you could, participate in the poll, and then in a few seconds here, we'll close that and share the information with everybody on today's webinar. Okay. Very good. So thank you for participating, and let me go ahead and just a few more seconds here, and we'll close this off. Okay. All right, let me share with you the results. So 18% of you stated that you'd like to get higher in your customer accounts that you have today. 27% stated you'd like to improve your customer satisfaction and reduce churn. And then 55% of you, the majority, stated you'd like to drive greater customer revenue contribution, which is all three we're going to discuss in today's webinar. So thank you for participating. We got another poll here, and let me advance this to the next question. So if you're thinking about next year, because we're already heading into fourth quarter, how do you want to grow customer revenue? And let me go ahead and offer some choices for your consideration. Okay, some of you may say the best way to increase revenue next year is to offer new products or services. Some of you may decide a good way to do this is to provide more training and enablement services for your customers. Some of you may say to expand usage of existing solutions or services. Again, another choice would be to expand new opportunities within the current customers. And of course, the fourth or fifth is not sure at this point, which is perfectly fine because we're sharing with you some great information today. So we'll keep the, and this is a select all that apply, by the way. So let's go ahead and tick off the ones that you think are most important in terms of customer revenue growth. And again, we'll share the results of the responses today. Okay, just a couple more seconds here, and then let's close that and share this. Thank you for participating, by the way. So 82% of you stated that you like to offer new products or services going into next year, which is fantastic. 27% of you said you'd like to provide more training and enablement services. 55% said you'd like to expand usage of existing solutions or services. And again, another 55% you'd like to expand into new capabilities within your customers. So again, thank you very much. That helps really guide our conversation for today. Okay. So here's a question that we can ask ourselves. And who does the customer think that you are today? We found this to be very interesting, that a lot of times when a customer buys from you or invests in your solutions or services, they know who you were, not who you are. And so this can happen through a variety of different ways. One, first of all, for instance, is they may have bought a piece of your overall solution or service and think that's all you do. For instance, as an example, we're working with a cybersecurity services company, and they provide a very valuable service called vulnerability or penetration testing. They also provide many other valuable services. But one of the easy things for them to sell is penetration testing for their customers. The challenge that they have is many of the customers later on believe that that's all that they do is penetration testing. So it challenges them to look at how they're going to expand wallet share with those customers later on. Another reason why customers may know who you were, not who you are, is because basically you've expanded your offerings, but they don't know that. So you may have decided to add more services to your portfolio. One of the customers that we worked with is a company called Screw Dude in North Carolina. And we specifically were engaged to work with Screw Dude because they had started off with one solution and they had built 15 over a period of time, but their average customer only had 2 to 3. And these were primarily colleges and school districts. And so what we needed to do was have a strategy to reframe their solution so they weren't looking at a couple point solutions, but looking at a totally integrated solution suite that they could take advantage of. Another thing that happens a lot of times is your customers have turnover and they need retraining, they need help. And then finally, you might have sold, or next you might have sold too low in the organization. So perhaps more of a transactional sale. So they may not understand the strategic value that you have, or they may not get up to date with the advancements that you've had in your company and your solutions and services. So this is one of the challenges sometimes most companies have in terms of customers, especially if you've been in business for 20, 30 years, is you get those customers that are great customers, but they don't know the value that you could deliver to them today. So since we're talking about customer success, one of the things you look at is how do you measure customer success? And let's just share a couple ideas with everybody today. One idea may be that you're sharing it's your customer sat score. So perhaps you're going back to your customers and you're using Net Promoter Score or CSAT score that you're obtaining, so that you have a good sense about what's the perceived satisfaction or value that they're receiving from you. Another goal that you can have in terms of your measuring customer success may be having a provable benefit or ROI. It's interesting. There are a lot of companies that we find that have happy customers, but they are challenged sometimes to figure out where's the measurable or ROI that they can really hang their hat on. A third area is measuring business alignment and executive relationships. So it's great if you can continue to align with their management team as you move your solution forward, whether it's a departmental solution or it's a strategic solution or even a tactical solution. Another way to measure customer success is wallet share. So when you think about the services that you offer today or the solutions that you have, what's the consumption rate that your customers have of the appropriate ones for them? Another area is referenceability, which is a great way to look at everybody wants to hear from their peers. So what are the case studies that you offer? What are the videos, customer success videos or webinars? These are all great ways to look at measuring, demonstrating, and proving customer success. And then finally, reducing churn. So these are different ways I would offer up to each of you to think about how do you measure customer success. Now, one of the things that we'll be providing to everybody in today's webinar is what we call the Ultimate Customer Success Playbook. And there are 6 areas in the playbook that we're going to discuss today, 3 of these 6 areas, but everybody will receive a copy of these. And I want to introduce a concept called the Customer Reconnect program. And so I call it the 3 R's. The first R is helping your customers reimagine the solution that you offer today. In many cases, what we find is that there is a total solution that your customer wants from you. You may be offering a part of that solution, but they're looking for more. They may be looking for more services from you. They may be looking for more enablement help that you can give them. If you have a solution today, for instance, when I was the CEO at Intact, a software as a service company, and we were scaling the company and really enjoyed doing that, we had many different functional applications that we provided, like general ledger, accounts payable, purchasing, and so forth. These were great process-based functional applications. But when we added executive dashboards and departmental and operational dashboards to our technology, that really changed the total solution. And we're not only talking to the users and the functional departments, we were starting to talk to the C-suite too. So this was a great way to think about reinventing the total solution. And we do this today with many clients. The second part of the Customer Reconnect program is to reconnect. That means to meet with your customers once, or in many cases more than once a year, and align with their goals, review their usage, and expand opportunities. This is your one opportunity to really maximize customer wallet share. And we're going to walk you through an example today of one of our customers that we've done that with. And the third R is called renew. And that is, in many cases, companies are excellent at looking at the programs and what they're going to do in marketing to engage new customers or new prospects or new buyers. What they don't do a lot of times is have the same cadence with their current customers. So we're going to talk about that. So how can you engage and add value to your customers each and every month? How do you anticipate and prevent churn? And most importantly, once somebody has your service or solution today, how do you share best practices with them so that they can optimize the value that they receive from your company, your service, and your solutions? So those are the 3 R's we talk about in the Customer Reconnect program. And we're going to walk through some examples today. Let's talk about the first one, which is called Reimagine. This is really about redefining the whole solution. In some cases, we talk about moving from what we call seats to suites. It's not unusual because of the way solutions or services are developed that you add to the arsenal of different solutions over time. But what you can end up then sometimes with is a lot of different point solutions. And it's confusing sometimes for the customer to understand how do those solutions work together, or how would they even be interrelated. So a lot of times we're looking at how do we move from point solutions to suites that make sense for functional areas or for departments or for companies. We also talk about creating and delivering new solution suites for each persona or function. And then one of the things that came out of the survey that we just did is the ability to launch and roll out new offerings. So we're going to talk about that. So let's look at the first R, which is to reimagine the whole solution. Your whole solution you may be adding to, let's say you have a software solution. You may need to add additional services to that. You may add third-party extensions or integrations. You may add different ecosystem partners. And what I wanted to do is walk you through a couple customer examples that we have and share with you how we've helped work with them to do that. One of our customers is a company called ICUC. They're a global leader in social media management services companies. So for instance, if you would work with Starbucks or if you would work with Macy's, very well-known, iconic companies out there. When you work with those companies and you work with them through social media, through the different platforms that are supported, the backbone of that staffing, the backbone of that service is ICUC employees. So they provide a very valuable extension for social media management within these large companies. They were very good at specific solutions that they offered. And what we realized as we were launching new solutions with them and for them, we realized that we were creating additional point solutions. So one of the things that we did is we helped them reimagine the whole solution and create something called the social customer journey. What we realized as we were launching each of these different solutions is that those solutions had a purpose. And depending upon where the customer was in the journey, if we were helping them launch, for instance, the customer insights, it was really about how they were going to be discovered socially, how Macy's was going to be front and forward to customers and be discovered in terms of what they were offering each and every day. We also wanted to make sure that when we launched social listening with them, that we could actually help them really complete the cycle here. And then we helped them launch something called social commerce. And so each of these had a way to take through the journey, the customer, and when the customer looked at these services, they realized that they all made sense. They were all interrelated. We helped take somebody as a prospect through the complete cycle, from awareness, through contact, through the sales, and then sharing that information and influence through reviews. So this became a great way for us to present the complete set of services, social media management services that ICUC had. Until we did this, it was difficult for them to sell the additional services because they were standalone and didn't have context. But once we came up with reimagining the complete customer journey through a social metaphor, we realized that you really needed all of these services to complete the journey with the customer. So this is an example of a services company, and that's really what ICUC is, a complete services company to do that. Let me walk you through another example. Another one of our clients is called Technical Toolboxes. They're out of Houston, and they provide software solutions for engineering performance management. And so as we worked with them, they had many different solutions that could assist and work with engineers. But what we realized is that we were getting to a point of no return in terms of new solutions. So we worked with them to create a suite. So if you were, let's say, an engineering group and you were involved in what's called crossings across a pipeline, you would have a suite of solutions that you would be able to use to help you manage that problem or that issue. If you were an integrity engineering group, or if you were in corrosion, you also had a suite. So what we did is we created suites, moved from seats to suites, and helped really provide the set of tools that each department was going to need to achieve engineering performance. We connected all that through a centralized hub so that they could be shared across the company, that you had reuse and best practices. And so, again, by reimagining the whole solution, we were able to convey the value that Technical Toolboxes could provide to any oil and gas company in the marketplace today. So these are two great examples in terms of reimagining the solution. It gives you a sense in terms of thinking about what you have today. How could you actually expand that, reimagine that? Let's talk about the next part. So once you've done that and you've really reimagined the overall solution, the question now is, how do you reconnect with all your stakeholders? And this, by the way, is just an exciting process. So when you think about reconnecting with all your stakeholders, what we essentially do is talk about executive or performance business reviews. And we think that you'd want to do that at least once a year, sometimes more often, depending upon the importance of the customer to your organization. So in these reviews, what we found is that we work with the companies to, again, collect the key contacts in each of these meetings that you want to have. In many cases, this is an opportunity for you to get higher in the organization than perhaps you are today, and to really realign with those executives and start talking about what's important to them in terms of their goals, their strategy, where they're headed. So it gives an opportunity for them then to also get a good understanding from you. What's the value that you've been able to deliver to them? Share the roadmap moving forward, explore new opportunities together, and then encourage that ongoing dialogue that needs to happen. So let's kind of talk through the process. So when you have this executive or performance business review that's happening every year with your customers, it's really an opportunity to present that new reimagined solution or service overview that you have today that we talked about earlier. It's also an opportunity to walk them through the meeting agenda and things that we just discussed here. You get to map their organization and build the contact database. You get a chance to expand your reach. And you also get the opportunity to research the usage and value that they've been able to realize with your solution. Now, out of every one of these executive business reviews, what we found is that there's the floor, the mid-stage, and the ceiling. So the floor, what we found is in every one of these reviews, it's an opportunity for you to provide new training, upgrades, and really help take the existing team and move them forward in terms of their value realization from your service or solution. It's also an opportunity to expand the existing services or solutions across their company. And finally, it's a way to engage in the ceiling, which is engaging in new areas that you haven't even touched at this point. And then finally, at the end of this meeting, is delivering what we call a value realization scorecard, which is what's the value that they're receiving from you today, and what's the potential value that they could receive from you in the future. Let's look at one of our customers, a company called Max Recall. Max Recall is a great company, provider of process-driven document management solutions, and they have about 150 customers. And so we did this with them. And in fact, what was great about this is that we helped them in many areas as far as driving new customer, new prospect growth. But one of the easy things, the low-hanging fruit, was to go back to the 150 customers and help them orchestrate these executive business reviews, as we did here. So with this company, Horizon, one of their customers, we helped them orchestrate the review. What was interesting is the management team at Horizon didn't realize this, nor did I think Max Recall realize this, but Max Recall is actually helping them manage today over 4 million documents across the important functions in the supply chain, such as purchasing, inventory management, accounts payable. And so many customers, and this may be the case for you, don't truly appreciate the value that you have today. But Horizon really had a chance to fully participate and understand the value that Max Recall is bringing to them. So this was really an eye-opener for both parties. So taking forward, this was an opportunity for Max Recall to set the stage with Horizon and talk about the things that they're doing to actually increase value. And then also talk about the addressable areas where they add value, not only where they're at today, but areas that other customers are looking to optimize. This program alone allowed Max Recall to increase their revenue by 20% year over year. And so it was very important for them to be able to put that program in place and to reestablish the intimacy and the satisfaction with their current customers. The third R that we wanted to talk about today is the renew. This is where you get a chance to engage on a monthly basis and increase the value that your customers get out of your service or solution. Now, we help many companies do that, put this program in place, execute it, and be successful at doing this. So let me walk you through some of the ideas, and I'll give you some examples today. Customers love to hear from you. Customers love to understand the value that you can deliver. And what better way to do that than through quarterly webinars? So these webinars can be three different types of webinars that you could put on. One is a thought leadership webinar that everybody wants to hear, which is, where is my market going? Where's the industry going? Where are areas of strategic value that I need to be cognitive and involved in? The influencer-led webinars that we help our clients host is another area, which is areas of innovation. So for instance, today, many companies want to know, where are you headed with AI? Is AI part of your solution today? Artificial intelligence. They might want to understand, what other areas of innovation are you providing? So this is a great way for you to capture that attention. It's also a great way to leverage some thought leaders in your industry and bring them in and get them integrated into your company in terms of the solution or services that you provide today. A third area is customer best practices. One of our customers is a company called Cavinci, and one of their major customers is a company called Neighborly. And Neighborly has 29 brands and 5,000 locations. And we had one of their presidents speak recently, Jeff Pella, talking about Cavinci and how they use Cavinci to help run the business across those 5,000 locations. It was truly an incredible webinar, incredible testimonial that Jeff Pella gave. And since they're involved in financial applications, one of the things that they basically said in this webinar that was Jeff's quote was, if you don't know your numbers, you don't know your business. And Cavinci helps us understand all of this. So that was really a fantastic way to actually have a customer talk about best practices, and one that is a lighthouse account. Another way is to develop what we call customer profiles and recognize leadership. Third way is to launch new services and new solutions to your customers. And we always talk about the pre-launch, launch, and post-launch plan that needs to happen with a new service or solution so that you're able to get the revenue growth that you're looking for from that solution, for that contribution. And then finally, gathering customer testimonials is important because those are really the proof points that you need in terms of value realization from your customers, that they're getting the value from that they expect out of your service or solution. This comes in many different forms. A lot of times we'll help companies build out case studies, customer videos, customer webinars like we talked about, or community sites where they want going to network. One of our customers I'd like to share with you is a company called Digitalis. And Digitalis is a leader in what's called planetariums. So when you think about planetariums, most of us have been to, let's say, a museum, or we've been to a science center, or we've been to an astronomy center, and you really get a chance to see what's happening in the universe out there, whether it be locally with this galaxy or out into the universe. And so you need planetariums to be able to do that. Well, we're just fortunate to be working with Digitalis as a customer, and who would have thought that there would be a huge market for planetariums out there? So Digitalis has over 1,000 installations of their planetarium solutions across the world. But one of the interesting things that we found as we engaged with Digitalis and with their customers is this notion, we call it planetarium leaders. There are a number of the people that have purchased, implemented, and used their planetariums that are truly leaders in their industry. What we wanted to do is we wanted to highlight those leaders. So let me give you an example. We helped them initiate this program called Planetarium Leaders. And I'm going to just walk you through just a couple of these vignettes here that now are important to both Digitalis and to their customers. But think about this. What's really important about this is if you were thinking about working with Digitalis, wouldn't it be great if they could help you with your career, help you be successful, help you become a planetarium leader? So here's Mark Bream. He's a meteorologist and a planetarium director at the Fairbanks Museum and Planetarium. And it's just a great overview about what he's done and the differences he's made. Here's a group, which is the Barnard Astronomical Group from the University of Tennessee in Chattanooga. And again, a team approach to actually bringing this education, bringing these insights into the universe into Tennessee. Another example is Brian Murphy. He's a professor of physics and astronomy at Holcomb Planetarium at Butler University. And again, each of these people have a different mark that they're making on the world. Here's Eastern Michigan University Planetarium, the team there. Here is Aaron Bradley, the planetarium director at High Point University. And then finally, here's Eric. And Eric is really interesting because he's the director of migrant and bilingual education services for Prosser School District. But what he's doing is he's working with a lot of kids, underprivileged kids, and he's opening up the world and the universe to them through education. So as you can see, this is a great way that we found together working with Digitalis to really make the customer the hero and to really focus on creating this notion of planetarium leaders. Another one of our customers is a company called Visibility Software, a leader in talent management solutions. And this is just another great example where they're focusing on nonprofits and the top 5 areas that the directors and the GMs for these nonprofits really want to focus on to win the war on talent, because nonprofits are mission driven. Nonprofits want to make sure that their team is aligned with mission, and so visibility software is the way to do that. So these are some great examples of doing the 3 R's that we talked about. So you really get a chance to reimagine your solutions for your customers. You get a chance to reconnect, as we talked about with Max Recall, and you really get a chance to renew with your customers. These different ways that we're talking about as part of the Customer Reconnect program will give you the ability to really increase revenue, um, both upsell, cross-sell services and solutions, and provide greater value realization. So what we'd like to do is get your opinion at this stage. If you could spend a few seconds and just participate in our poll. And let me go ahead and bring that up for today. I'd love to get from you, what's your major takeaway from today's webinar? So if you thought about what you want to do headed into next year, would it be that you'd like to create your customer success playbook for next year? Perhaps doing some of the things we talked about, like the 3 Rs. Would you like to reimagine the total solution in a new way? Think about how to expand beyond where you are today, or perhaps reposition. Would you like to reconnect with all your customers? Is that your major objective that you have today? Or would you like to offer an ongoing customer event once per month, as we talked about, which is having that cadence, that ongoing cadence that you're looking for each and every time? Or if you're not sure, totally get that, because today is really about sharing some best practices with you. It's about giving you the opportunity to think about customer success and how these ideas can help you transform and drive that type of growth, that type of success with your customers. Okay, I'll keep the poll open just here for a few more seconds so everybody can weigh in, and your opinions are very important to us. So thank you for participating. Okay, just a few more seconds and let me share. Well, it looks like we got a tie up here let me share this. So 25%, and again, I think this was a select all that apply, stated you'd like to create a customer success playbook for 2025. That's fantastic. 25% stated you'd like to help reimagine your total solution. 25% stated you'd like to reconnect with all your customers. 13% you like to offer an ongoing customer event every month, and 13% not sure. So again, thank you very much for participating in the poll. That's really helpful. It's always helpful to get your response. So what we'd like to do right now is just open it up for Q&A. So if you could, please go ahead and post your question that you have here to go to webinar, and let me go ahead and field some of those questions right now. Okay. Let's see. First question is, how do you help the client create the whole solution? That's a good question. When you think about the whole solution, we use those words, whole solution, is really going back to your clients, your customers, and really understanding what is it that surrounds your service or solution today. And we're all surprised, I think, sometimes to find out that there is always additional parts that are out there. Those parts may not be owned by your company today, but those are definitely things that you could look at doing as far as owning that solution. One of the things I found that was really interesting when I was a CEO at Intact is 50% of our revenue came through the partner channel. Many of these companies were what I call market makers. So what that means basically is if you worked with a company like RealPage and they were in the property management space, they offered a number of solutions that were mission critical for managing properties. What they didn't have in their portfolio was a financial management system. So what they did is they private labeled our solution as part of their overall solution and took that to market as their solution. So what we were able to do is expand the whole solution for RealPage that they could offer to all of their property management customers. Here's another one. How often should we meet with our target or largest accounts? Good question too. I think when you think about your top accounts, it probably would make sense to meet with them on a quarterly basis, but meet with every customer at least once a year. But what you find with your major customers is always good to get together with them once a quarter and talk through both strategic and tactical and operational issues that they would like, that's top of mind for them, because their business is very fluid and you get an opportunity to be more flexible and agile to meet that need on an ongoing basis. Okay, here's another question. One, what ongoing programs get the best results with customers? Well, that's interesting. I would say one of the things that we found that is really helpful is just putting in place the customer reconnect program. So that's kind of that foundational for you. If you're representing your customers or clients today, you want to have a program like this in place, no doubt, because it's really going to allow you to achieve all the things that we talked about today. But one of the things that we found that's really interesting um, when we think about customers is what we call the launch program. And what we realized is that it's not about bringing a new product or service to market. It's how you do it. So what we do with our typical clients that we work with today is we help them plan out the launch months in advance and figure out what are the activities and things that need to happen before the launch. How do we execute a really tremendous launch? But then how do we make sure that we give the tools to the sales team to follow up after the launch so that that interest is translated into sales opportunities and those sales opportunities are translated into customer revenue. So anyway, that's really helpful. So here's a question. Thoughts on using social media to renewing our brand? I think that's great to use social media. I think that you should be using social media. We're big proponents of that, and we're big proponents on using obviously LinkedIn. If you're a B2B company, that's a staple that you should have. In many cases, we're really helping companies really think through their social strategy and how to put that in place and how to maximize that presence. So, great question. Okay, let's move on to another question here. Let's see, one final or two questions. This is another question that says, how do we engage a company like On-Demand Advisors? Good question. As you know, we're very strategic in terms of what we do for clients. We really want to help you move the needle. We want to be a catalyst for growth and change and evolution for your company, for the success that you have moving forward. And so a great place for us to start is obviously a conversation. And I'd love to have a conversation with each and one of you, and we'll follow up with you after today's webinar. But another thing that we want to talk about is just creating a playbook. A playbook, a blueprint, a roadmap. These really are important to construct one and to think about how you're systematically going to achieve your goals and success. As I found running companies as CEO for both public and private companies, technology companies, services companies, software companies in Silicon Valley, myself, I realized that as we head into fourth quarter, we are starting to think about what we're going to do next year. We start thinking about how we're going to grow revenue, for instance, by 30% here, grow customer presence by another 20%, and so forth. As you think about that, the important part isn't just the number, it's the execution. What's the plan, the playbook, if you will, to get from here to there? And so a great place to start is creating that playbook that's going to get you from here to there. And that's really what we do. We help at On-Demand Advisors create the playbook, and then we help you implement that. So we hope that you've enjoyed today's webinar today, and we just wanted you to know that we're here to be your revenue acceleration partner. We have created a revenue acceleration system that we help many, many companies put in, which is this set of best practices. And everybody will be receiving today this infographic, which is the customer success playbook, the 6 areas we talk about today to actually help drive value. And we just covered 3 of those today, so we'd like to talk to you about all of those. And then finally, we've got monthly webinars coming up next month and the next 3 months. So next month in October, we're going to talk about how do you catalyze exceptional sales performance in your company. In November, we're going to talk about how do you create consistent and significant demand that propels your revenue growth. And then as we head into next year, thinking about this in December, we're going to talk about something that is really a client favorite of ours that we've had for the past 15 years, and that is how to engineer your revenue growth for 2025. So we hope you're able to register and be part of each of those strategic webinars that we're going to have coming up. They are posted to our website. And for all of those of you that are attending today, we're going to be sending you an invite to attend with us again. So if we didn't get to your questions today, I'll follow up with you personally one-on-one afterwards. Dale will also arrange times for us to meet. And so Dale McConnell, who is another partner at On Demand Advisors, will be reaching out to each of you to see if you'd like to set up a time to meet with us, or if you'd like to get some additional materials that would be beneficial in contributing to your success. So on behalf of Craig Ramey and myself, managing partners for On Demand Advisors, Dale McConnell, and the entire On Demand Advisors team, we'd love to thank you for joining today's webinar. Thank you for your participation, and we look forward to helping you have a fantastic Q4 and prepare for success in 2025. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you.